Special news bulletin on Hurricane Erin. Good evening, and thank you for joining us in this special news broadcast. Today, we bring you the latest developments on Hurricane Erin, a powerful tropical system currently churning over the Atlantic Ocean and expanding its influence across a wide area. Although there are no immediate signs of a direct U.S. landfall, Erin's massive size and steadily increasing intensity have already raised significant concerns for the entire eastern seaboard, stretching from North Carolina, Virginia, and Maryland all the way up to Atlantic Canada. In addition to Erin, today's bulletin will also analyze other tropical disturbances currently emerging in the basin, as well as an unusual cold front expected to sweep across the United States by late August. An event that will bring early autumn-like weather but also carry its own set of risks. At present, according to the latest data from the National Hurricane Center, NHC, Erin is maintaining Category 2 strength on the Saffir-Simpson scale, with maximum sustained winds near 100 miles per hour, around 160 kilometers per hour. Notably, the storm's central pressure has dropped to about 954 MB, lower than it was last night. In meteorology, a falling pressure usually indicates that a storm is intensifying and becoming better organized. Satellite imagery confirms deep convection flaring around the center, with tall, cold cloud tops suggesting vigorous evaporation and condensation. Although Erin has not yet formed a well-defined circular eye typical of major Category 3+ hurricanes, its overall structure is rapidly improving and expanding. Compared with just 24 to 36 hours ago, Erin's cloud shield has grown significantly. Previously confined to a limited offshore zone, the storm's dense cloud bands now cover much of the western Atlantic off the U.S. southeast coast. On satellite views, its outer clouds have already reached North Carolina's Outer Banks and stretched northeastward toward Bermuda, a clear indication of Erin's enormous size. When storms expand in this way, areas hundreds of miles from the center can still experience strong winds, high surf, and coastal flooding. For this reason, the actual impact area is always broader than the forecast cone, which only depicts the projected path of the center. Another factor at play is the intrusion of dry air from the west, which typically weakens tropical systems by eroding storm clouds. Yet Erin remains in a favorable upper-level environment, with clear evidence of outflow aloft. This upper-level divergence allows air to be efficiently vented away from the storm's center, drawing in more warm, moist air from the ocean surface to fuel its growth. This explains why, despite some dry air intrusion, Erin has held steady and even intensified. Forecasts suggest the storm may strengthen further within the next 24 hours, possibly reaching 105 to 110 miles per hour. Close to or surpassing the threshold for a major Category 3 hurricane. Regarding its track, NHC guidance indicates Erin will continue moving northwestward, coming closer to the U.S. East Coast, particularly North Carolina, before gradually curving northeastward, paralleling the shoreline and then heading into the open North Atlantic toward Canada. However, track forecasts always carry uncertainties, especially 3 to 5 days out. A slight westward shift would bring far greater risks to the northeastern U.S. coastline. Therefore, residents from the Carolinas to New England should remain on high alert. Current warnings are already in effect. North Carolina's Outer Banks are under tropical storm warnings, with winds of 60 to 70 miles per hour possible, and even higher gusts in squalls. Storm surge could raise water levels by 2 to 4 feet. With the added effect of high tide increasing flood risk in low-lying areas. Virginia's Tidewater region and Maryland's coastline face strong wind advisories, with gusts of 40 to 55 miles per hour possible. Further north, along Delaware and New Jersey, no highest-level warnings have been issued yet, but forecasts suggest large waves and stiff winds will arrive in the coming days. In the northeast, even though the storm's center is unlikely to make landfall, coastal islands such as Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket in Massachusetts will still feel Erin's impact. Forecast models have shifted slightly westward, bringing the system closer to New England than earlier projections. As a result, gusts of 40 to 55 miles per hour are possible along exposed coasts and offshore islands. Atlantic Canada is also in line for impacts. Nova Scotia and Newfoundland may avoid a direct strike, but a close offshore pass will still generate strong winds, high seas, and unusual tides. In some coastal areas, gusts could reach 60 to 90 km per hour, accompanied by scattered showers. While rainfall amounts are not expected to cause widespread flooding, the combination of wind and rough seas could disrupt daily life and travel. Beyond wind and surge, Erin also poses the risk of rip currents, powerful, fast-moving channels of water flowing away from shore. These are extremely hazardous for swimmers, even if the storm remains offshore. Meanwhile, other tropical features are developing across the Atlantic. One tropical wave currently carries a 60% chance of strengthening into a named storm in the coming days. If it develops, it would be called Fernand. Early models suggest it may curve out to sea, though Bermuda remains under watch. Another system, Invest 99L, has about a 30% chance of development. Despite showing bursts of convection on satellite, the surrounding environment remains only marginally supportive, and most forecasts predict dissipation within a few days. Looking ahead, late August through early September is the climatological peak of hurricane season in the Caribbean and Gulf of Mexico. Historically, many of the most destructive hurricanes have formed in these regions in September. So far, conditions there have been quieter than average this year, but the potential for a late-season surge remains high. Adding to the unusual weather picture, meteorologists are monitoring an early-season cold front set to push deep into the United States by late August. Typically, the first significant cold fronts do not arrive until mid to late September. This year, however, an unusually strong system is expected to plunge southward weeks earlier than usual. Forecasts suggest nighttime lows could drop into the 40s and 50s degree F, 4 to 10 degrees Celsius, across much of the Midwest and East. With cooler air reaching as far south as Tennessee, Alabama, the Carolinas, and even northern Florida, a rare event for this time of year. The cold air will also bring drier, crisper conditions, offering many areas a taste of autumn weeks ahead of schedule. This could trigger early foliage changes in the Northeast and Upper Midwest. However, the clash between cool, dry air and lingering moisture may spark scattered thunderstorms and localized downpours. Particularly in complex terrain, cities like Boston, New York, Hartford, and Providence could see occasional rainfall, with some heavier showers leading to minor street flooding. Given this complex weather situation, safety measures remain critical. Residents in North Carolina, the Outer Banks, Virginia, and Maryland should closely follow evacuation orders and advisories from local authorities. Along the northeastern U.S. and Atlantic Canada, coastal and marine activities should be avoided while the storm passes, as hidden dangers from waves and rip currents persist even when skies appear clear. In summary, Erin stands as one of the largest and most expansive hurricanes of this season, exerting influence from the southeastern U.S. all the way to Canada. At the same time, new disturbances in the Atlantic and Caribbean confirm that hurricane season is far from over. And while the unusual late August cold front may bring refreshing relief and the feeling of autumn's early arrival, it also introduces additional rainfall risks. This concludes our special news bulletin. We thank you for watching, and we urge everyone to stay safe and remain prepared for all weather developments. See you again in our upcoming reports.